we should make a bet in the comments and let people guess how many different drivers will dislike Brad Keselowski by the end of this season. Right now we're at like 5 or 6. If I had to guess, I'd say it would be around 8 or 9 or 10 at this rate by the end of the season. But you know, it's anyone's guess at this point. Seems like that number just keeps growing every week. Welcome to Eric's Chase Grid Talk. This is episode 17, the lucky number 17 this is, well, it's from Texas, I guess. I live in Texas, and it's recapping and reviewing the Texas Motor Speedway AAA Texas 500, which happened yesterday afternoon. The race itself, first 250, 300 laps, didn't really do much of anything. It was pretty balanced, pretty casual, pretty relaxed race. The final 30 to 50 laps just went crazy. It's people that had been dominant suddenly were in the back. People that were not looking so great ended up getting good finishes and shook up the points a great deal. I should probably get a good look, make sure I see the point standings here before I start talking, because I don't have it memorized. Let's start it off, talk about things that really are important, like Jimmy Johnson winning the race, and more importantly, since it's not a chaser didn't win it, we still have basically 4 open spots heading into this final race of the round at Phoenix. Nobody has any, nobody's already has punched their ticket to the next round, so to speak. Everyone's still battling for it completely, and we got a pretty tight little race here. I'm looking at the standings right now. Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin both up ahead, and even then, they're not like feeling too good. They're only about 12, 13 points to the good, but feeling better than a lot of other guys. Things where it gets interesting though is 4th place through 8th place. Jeff Gordon currently holds the last transfer spot, but he's only 1 point ahead of Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards, and Brad Keselowski is only a few points behind him, is 5 points behind him, and then Kevin Harvick is 6 points back. So still really tight between all those groups, and guys like Harvick and Keselowski, who didn't really coming into this week, probably didn't think they'd have a chance to point their way into the next round. Now look at it with probably thinking that they have pretty good chances of pointing their way into the next round. And yeah, I mean, it didn't look that way for a lot of this race today. For most of the race, it looked like Carl Edwards was terrible, and it looked like Brad Keselowski wasn't going to go anywhere, and it looked like and even Denny Hamlin wasn't doing much. It looked like it was going to be between Johnson, Harvick, and Gordon to see who was going to win the race, and whoever didn't win the race was still going to get good finishes. Newman and Kenseth were right there, looking like they were going to get good finishes. Joey Logano seemed like he was going to get a good finish at the time, and basically ridiculousness transpired, I guess is the right word to say. Very few chase drivers didn't have something happen to them Sunday night that they wish didn't. Joey Logano, what happened to Joey Logano? He had a problem on pit road, had a really slow pit stop at one point. They had to do some stuff. That put him back in traffic at one point. Matt Kenseth had a slow pit stop at one point, and then also later he and Ryan Newman ran into him a little bit on a restart. Both drivers got damaged. They had to pit for that. Newman, that was his problem. Jeff Gordon, I'll get to Jeff Gordon in a minute. Denny Hamlin was one of the relatively more smooth nights, and that's why he ended up getting a good top 10 finish out of it. Didn't look that way for most of the night, but he came through and had a good finish. Even Carl Edwards bounced back after just sucking for most of the race, just had no speed, was 2 laps down at one point. Didn't have a great race. Kevin Harvick's big struggles came, I guess you could say his struggles kind of came late. There's some crazy restarts in which he kept getting shuffled out of line, had some things happen, but he did a good job bouncing back. Ended up finishing 2nd in the race. I think that's everyone. Yeah, I mentioned everyone. Oh, and Brad Keselowski ran kind of around 12th most of the race. Started in 26th. I think it was 26th. Actually, I don't know about that. He started in the 20s somewhere. Worked his way up into around 10th place. Kind of was hanging out there. They stayed out kind of on a later restart, whereas a lot of people kind of pit, even though they only had a few laps on their tires. And surprisingly, he held on to a good spot, and that basically got him the track position he needed, and he had a decent car. He was able to hang in there. Got a 3rd place finish, but I'll talk about Brad Keselowski in a minute. As you heard me mention at the beginning of the episode, nobody in the Sprint Cup garage right now likes Brad Keselowski. Even Joey Logano, his teammate, probably doesn't really like Brad Keselowski right now, or is having a hard time. Doesn't want to be seen in public with Brad. I mean, it's pretty sad, really. I mean, I don't know what else to say, really. I'm recording this episode Sunday night, actually, so I'm tired right now. I don't know what time it is. It's like almost 9 o'clock here, and I know that you're thinking it's not that late, but I've been up since like 7 this morning, so I'm pretty tired right now. So let's see. Where to start on all the late race drama, or all the after post-race drama, because that's really what there is to talk about. Let's go back to Charlotte just a couple weeks ago. You guys all remember when Keselowski and Keselowski wrecked Kenseth on that restart, made Kenseth mad, and then later on a late restart, he got into Hamlin. Hamlin got into him. They were mad at each other. After the race, Keselowski and Hamlin did all that crazy stuff. They got in a little bit of an altercation. Then, as Keselowski was just trying to leave, Matt Kenseth jumped him from behind. Their teams got in a big fight. And that happened at Charlotte, and people were like, whoa, man, this drama, this new point system, they're making guys go crazy, dude. Well, everyone thought, okay, Brad Keselowski will learn from this, right? Brad's not going to be an idiot anymore. Well, he was an idiot Sunday night at Texas. Yep, he was an idiot, an idiot, a moron, stupid. A very... He made himself look like a rookie. Let me put it that way. Brad, after watching this race at Texas, he basically drove like a rookie, or drove like a nationwide driver, however you want to put it. And I'm not trying to like bash on rookies or nationwide drivers, but he made his big mistake he made looked like that of some crazy kid that just was in way over his head. And I know I've looked at comments on other people's videos. I've heard what other people have had to say. I've seen what other people have to say. And I know a lot of you guys are going to agree with me, but there's a decent amount of you apparently that disagree with me. And I don't know why this is. It's pretty blatantly obvious to me. On a final restart, the first attempt at a green-white checker, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson were in row one. Those two guys had basically been the dominant cars all afternoon. It was clear that they probably both had the best chances of winning. And remember that Jeff Gordon is one of the favorites at this point to win the title, so he is in the chase, in the championship hunt. Brad Keselowski restarted third. He was on the inside of row two. When they headed into turn one, Keselowski, at the last second, tried to jump up to the outside of Jimmy Johnson, right into the path of where Jeff Gordon was, and basically had been the entire time down the straightaway, and basically door slammed Gordon, knocked him out of the groove, and actually ended up cutting a tire down on Gordon's car as he spun out half a lap later. And Gordon ended up finishing 29th in the race, and which sucks for him because he basically had one of the top 2 or 3 cars all night long and seemed to be about to put himself in a really good position heading into Phoenix, where he would be in a very good position to move on to Homestead for the championship. And sorry, I got distracted. I was reading something. I'm really bad at this. I'm really bad when it gets late. But I'm going to go against popular opinion here. Not popular opinion. I'd say 50-50. A lot of people are arguing that Jeff Gordon came down into Brad Keselowski. Brad was there. It was late in the race. He had the position. Jeff needed to get out of the way or whatever. That's BS, guys. That's BS. And I'm not just saying this because I hate Brad Keselowski. Because keep in mind, if you're a longtime fan, you know I don't like Jeff Gordon either. So to hear me taking Jeff Gordon's side says a lot. Jeff Gordon... He took a high line getting into turn one, and I know it's hard for me to describe this. I mean, you need to go watch the actual replay before you listen to this, but I know most of you people listening to this have probably seen the replay, and if you haven't, go do that now and then come back to this video. But on the replay, it's pretty obvious. You know, Jeff Gordon, yeah, he arced it a little bit getting into turn one, left a little bit of space, but you can clearly see on TV there's maybe room for one car, maybe with like an inch of clearance on either side. Like, it's not like Keselowski had a 6-foot gap that he could, move in there and get a run. No, he had about a 3-foot gap, and these cars are wider than 3 feet. Brad Keselowski knew the moment Keselowski decided he was going to move into the middle lane like that, he knew that there was going to be some sort of contact with Jeff Gordon. There was no other way. There was not going to be contact. It was an overly aggressive move by Brad Keselowski, much like that he at Charlotte a couple weeks ago when he quote-unquote blocked Matt Kenseth by running him into the wall. He basically did the same thing here. He blocked Jeff Gordon by door slamming him into turn one. I don't understand what he was thinking. And then basically proceeded to, Jeff Gordon was totally screwed at this point. There's nothing he could do. And after the race, of course, Brad Keselowski's going to give his whole thing. I'm just racing 100%, guys. I saw a hole, I do what race car drivers do, and I enter the hole, you know? It's like that classic running back theory where you see the hole and then you enter the hole, because that's what you do as a running back. Brad Keselowski. Jeff Gordon said it best. I don't know how this guy won a championship. I really don't. After the way he's driven these last few weeks, I'll be honest, when he won Talladega, I was okay with it, because I felt like, yes, Brad Keselowski, you know, he deserves to still be in the chase. All the stuff that happened, the blown tire that he had it back in Kansas, the issues he had at Charlotte. I mean, in the end, I didn't feel that bad that Brad Keselowski won Talladega and advanced. I really hope Brad Keselowski does not win Phoenix or advance at all, because at this point, I don't think Brad Keselowski deserves crap. I think Brad Keselowski deserves the bloody lip or the cut he got on his chin. I think he deserved more than that. I think he deserves a black eye, a good kick in the pants, good smack on the wrist, maybe a smack on the behind, and needs to be sent to his room for a good week or two, in my opinion, because Brad Keselowski is altering this championship in ways that other people cannot control. Matt Kenseth could not control Brad Keselowski running him into the wall at Charlotte. Jeff Gordon could not control Brad Keselowski door slamming him to try and take the win. I was glad that Kevin Harvick nudged him out of the way to at least not give Keselowski a chance to win that race on the next restart. I was glad that he did that, because good Lord, Brad Keselowski needs to grow up, needs to learn that if he needs to go back to a full year nationwide series driving, I won't have any problems. He'll be with guys, he'll be driving around with people just as bad as he is, because, man, Keselowski, a lot of people like to compare Keselowski to Kyle Busch in the sense that he's really aggressive but has a lot of talent, but is kind of inconsistent too. And in my opinion, he's not as talented as Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, he might whine about some things, he might bump people out of the way and do things like that, but Kyle Busch didn't just flat out wreck championship contenders like Keselowski's done twice in the last 4 weeks. And that's just absurd in my opinion. I mean, in this year, yeah, I don't know, each individual race is more important, I'd say, this season than it has in years past. And the fact that Brad Keselowski is basically all but taking a couple guys out of championship contention, good Lord, when is it going to stop? I mean, when I was watching the argument on pit road between him and Jeff Gordon, I was sitting there, I was hoping that Jeff Gordon would do something. I saw Gordon was mad. I could tell their crews were already kind of like, Brad Keselowski's crew knew what was coming. I was glad that they got that Brad. I was glad that, unlike when Kenseth and Keselowski got in a fight, when it was just Kenseth and Keselowski, lucky for Brad, Paul Wolfe just happened to be right there at the right time and was able to break him up pretty quick. In this case, though, yeah, there was Brad had people sneaking up on him from behind the side. He had Kevin Harvick giving him a little push. I'm going to address that in a second too, but in my opinion, I'm glad that Brad finally got some sense knocked into him. Well, I shouldn't say that too yet. I don't know if any sense has been knocked into him. He got something knocked into him, but he didn't get any sense. I'm not for NASCAR drivers beating each other up every week. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, this is why I watch racing. I love racing because of this drama, or because fights every 3 weeks. That's not why I like racing. And I understand there's a lot of fans I've seen that are kind of thinking like that. They think this is ridiculous and bad for the sport. I wouldn't say it's bad for the sport, because it's going to get eyeballs. Obviously, people are going to want to watch it. And NASCAR, they need eyeballs. I said this a couple weeks ago. They need people to watch this sport because it's not as popular. It's competing with the NFL every Sunday this time of year, and that's a hard organization to compete with. So any little thing NASCAR can get to put them on the map, I'd say is good for them, in my opinion. But I don't think that getting in fistfights every week is necessary. But if you're Brad Keselowski and you're going to continue to take out championship contenders, you deserve to have the sense knocked into you. And I don't have any problem with what Jeff Gordon did, or how Kevin Harvick handled the whole incident Sunday night, or how Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth handled it a few weeks ago. Brad Keselowski is the worst champion NASCAR has had, at least as long as I've been a fan, and that's been for about 10 years now. So BK needs to learn how to drive better, or at least drive smarter. And until then, I think he's going to have a lot of problems with a lot of drivers. I think this could be just the beginning. He's already had problems with guys in years past, but this year, at least this chase, good Lord. He'll be lucky if he makes it out of Phoenix and Homestead without the fenders knocked in at least one of those races. I mean, good Lord. I said I'd mention it. Kevin Harvick got involved a little bit there as well. If you look on the replay, you can see right before, kind of as Jeff Gordon's kind of trying to get a hold of Keselowski, because Jeff was being held back by some of Brad's crew members, but he was trying to get at Keselowski. Kind of as that was happening, you see Kevin Harvick come in from off screen and kind of give a little shove and say something. I don't know what he said. He couldn't even really read his lips. He said something and gave a little push to Brad Keselowski, and immediately got the heck out of there, because almost instantly afterwards, Jeff got a hold of Keselowski's collar, and all of a sudden they were all fighting. But I don't know. I don't necessarily like Kevin Harvick. I don't like Kevin Harvick either. Don't hate. That's a strong word. I dislike all three of those drivers: Harvick, Keselowski, and Gordon. Keselowski more than either of the other two. But I don't know. I didn't have a problem with what Harvick did. I thought it was kind of humorous in a lot of ways. Much like it was humorous to see Kenseth and Hamlin's crews watching the whole fight take place in the garage area, like watching it on TV and laughing about it. That brought a smile to my face. But Kevin Harvick probably shouldn't have gotten involved, at least not right then. But at the same time, he knows just what like everyone else does. Brad Keselowski's a loose cannon at this point. Kevin Harvick knows that he could be the one that gets knocked out of the race by something stupid that Keselowski does next week. I mean, Harvick, he already had a little incident with a chase driver last week at Martinsville. He and Kenseth got together, so he didn't want that happening again. And he'd really be frustrated if it was stupid old Brad Keselowski acting like a fool and wrecking him. I mean, I know I got Brad Keselowski fans out there, and I know that this is going to make you guys probably dislike me, and I understand. But I was careful 3 weeks ago at Charlotte when I did that review episode. I was careful not to bash on Keselowski too bad, because, I want to be sensitive to everyone's feelings. But after this week, no, Brad Keselowski deserved every punch that connected with his face. And I will not be, if this continues, if he continues to not know how to drive and continue to make foolish decisions, it's only going to be more. It's only going to get worse from here. I know I didn't dwell, I guess that's the end of this episode. I know I didn't dwell too much on the actual, winner of the race, or even, the actual results. I'll go and give a quick rundown. Congrats to Jimmy Johnson. He had the most dominant car for most of the evening. Keeps winning every fall race at Texas. It's part of why I didn't go this year, just because I knew Jimmy was going to win it. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, so good race for Jimmy Johnson. He's not in the chase, unfortunately, but second week in a row, a non-chaser won, but it was Dale Jr. last week and Jimmy Johnson this week. Are we really that surprised? No, I'm really not surprised. I told you guys last week I thought Johnson was going to be a favorite coming into this race. Not surprising that he won. Newman, another strong run, continues his consistency. Denny Hamlin snuck in there. Even Carl Edwards did a great rebound from how far behind they were at the beginning of the race. Both of them got solid finishes. So they're both, in position to possibly advance. Joey Logano got another solid finish, so he and Hamlin right now have the best chances of advancing, but even them, they're not that safe. Phoenix is going to be an exciting race next week. I mean, it's not as big of a wild card as Talladega, but it's going to be just as interesting to see who comes through and who gets, who escapes with minimal, damage, and who has a good day, like that. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of guys, all 8 drivers, I feel like, have a shot going into this last race, and it's more than I think the other elimination races have had. So I'm looking forward to Phoenix. I think it'll be a good race. I'll talk more about that on Thursday when I do my next episode. Leave a question or a comment if you want me to debate with you. If you're a BK fan and you can find a way to defend your driver's racing abilities, be my guest, because it's going to be difficult at this point. That's my show. I didn't give my announcements. I didn't really have much to announce at this point. I am working on W Cup Series, the finale, race 8. I got so much other stuff. It's going to be slightly behind. I know. I try to upload races every 2 weeks. It's going to be difficult. This one might be 3 weeks, and not 3. It'll be like a week. I don't know. It's coming up before the end of the Sprint Cup season. It'll be up, I think. It will be. If you haven't seen my newest NASCAR parody that I uploaded on Halloween last Friday, it's the Halloween special, Trick or Treat. I'm glad that you guys seem to like it so far. And I got another NASCAR parody that I want to release in a few weeks. I've written the script, but I haven't really started it too much because I'm busy on trying to finish the W Cup Series here. So I'll get on that as soon as I can. And other than that, I'll be doing another show on Thursday. That's all I have to talk about. So thanks for listening to me. I feel like I've been talking really quietly this whole episode. I'm just really tired. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you find it entertaining to hear me rant about how lousy some people drive. and I'll try to be more positive about everybody else on Thursday. So I guess that's all for me. I'll see you guys then. Bye.